And we're back. It's Eliana Raggio, your favorite vlogcaster. I know. We're back. And we're broadcasting live from NADA, from Las Vegas Convention Center, booth 4301W from the Dealer eProcess booth. And look who I have with me right now. It is the one and only George Nenni, founder, president, and chief bottle washer over at Generations Digital. George, in 2023, you and I mean, we've known each other a long time.
Yes.
But in 2023, you and I have worked more closely together than we ever have in our entire friendship. And that has a large part to do with Google Analytics 4. It has brought us together, closer together. So if you haven't been keeping up, George wrote a book about it. He has been on our webinars. He is right now my #1 webinar presenter. Yeah, I mean, the stuff you can
tell that to everybody.
Actually, no, you are my #1 webinar presenter. All right. He's done some amazing webinars about Google Analytics 4 on how to set them up, how to just so many topics. So go to dealereprocess.com/webinars and view our past webinars so you can see the brilliance that is George Nenni. And I'll actually have another one coming up in March.
March 7th.
March 7th, another Google Analytics 4 topic. And just remind everyone, George, what's the name of your book?
It is a car dealer's guide to Google Analytics 4, and we're now in the 2nd edition.
Because more updates have been made by Google.
Yes. Every time Google makes an update, we update the book. It may or may not have an edition attached to that, but we just upload the content, and so if you get a book today, you get the freshest content that's out there.
Yeah, I have said this before, and I will say it again for you right now. George Nenni, in my professional opinion, is the #1 resource for Google Analytics 4 information outside of Google itself. All right, and no, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Swear on a sack of Bibles. Okay, that being said. Google Analytics 4 isn't all that you do, but we are going to get to that. But first, tell everyone what Generations Digital does for dealers.
Sure. So Generations Digital, one of our big missions is to make car dealers smarter and better consumers of digital marketing. Digital marketing is not that hard. It's just got a lot of strange terms and acronyms that seem difficult, but they're really not. So I think any smart dealer who wants to apply themselves can learn it. And once you do, you know the hard questions to ask your vendors. You know the reports to ask for. And I think you sleep better at night because you force yourself to understand it. So we do that through books, through training, but most importantly through our reporting. So we go in and set up GA4 for dealers. We push all that data into Looker Studio as well as third-party classifieds, Google Business Profile, Google Ads, and really help dealers to have a dashboard where they can measure their ROI for their digital marketing.
I mean, helping dealers spend their money smarter and get great results. I mean, that is the nirvana that everyone shops for, isn't it? Okay, so now let's talk about Google Analytics 4. That change took place January 1st of 2023. And despite our best efforts, I feel like there was still a lot of dealers who weren't exactly 100% prepared for all of the things that Google Analytics 4 was different than Universal Analytics. We've been trying. You wrote a book about it. I've been doing webinars about it. So we're trying as we can to educate dealers about how wonderful Google Analytics 4 is and how much more robust it is and how you can take that information and use it to your advantage. So that being said, let's talk Google Analytics 4 right now, since you are the expert. Okay. Now in 2023, I feel like, and please disagree with me if you want, it was all about making sure that the dealership was set up properly. Because if you didn't have the right foundation for your Google Analytics 4, well, kind of everything else fell apart.
Right. Get your setup. Make sure you own your Google Analytics 4. Make sure the code's installed. Make sure things look normal and reasonable. And most importantly, go in and look and see what events are firing and what conversions might be firing. So what's an event? Event's just a trigger on a website. So if you scroll on your website, that fires a scroll event. If you interact with your chat tool, that fires a chat event. If you put a lead in on your Dealer eProcess website, that fires your lead form submission event. So find out what events are firing, make sure they all look reasonable. And honestly, I said this yesterday in my workshop for NADA around GA4. It's not like you have to learn GA4 if you're a dealer necessarily. Outsource that to your vendor. Lean on your vendors, lean on your website providers. find providers that are very good at GA4 and support it, like Dealer eProcess, and just have them, just provide those answers. So just say, hey, what events are firing, what conversions are firing. They'll show you all those metrics, and you can say, okay, those mean something to me, and then you go from there.
You're scaring the bejesus out of me about something you said about a minute ago, so I'm going to bring you back to that.
All right.
You said when you set it up, make sure that you own your Google Analytics. Why would they not own their Google Analytics 4 data?
Yeah, it's a great question. So with Google Analytics 4, it's not like you're just getting the next version of Excel. It's a brand new analytics platform. It's as if the dealership switched from Google Analytics to Adobe Analytics or something totally different. So in that process, if dealers weren't careful, because it's a brand new install, they may not be admins. Their agency may own it. Their website provider. Yeah. So make sure, obviously, with Dealer eProcess, the dealers all own their GA4.
I know you're scaring me. I can't believe people do that.
Yes.
Really?
So you end up leaving the provider, and you don't get to take your analytics with you. You have to start over, which would be horrible for a dealer.
Oh my goodness! I didn't even know that was happening in our industry. You're freaking me out. All right, dealers, make sure you do that. All right. There's also the ASC Council, which of course you're very, very involved with. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Automotive Standards Council, so abbreviated ASC. That council was formed in early 2022 with the goal of standardizing all the events for GA4. And honestly, again, I said this in my workshop.
For the auto industry.
For the auto industry, yes. And the auto industry is indebted to that council because it's a wonderful standard. It has lots of depth. You can now slice and dice your reporting by VIN number, stock number, year, make, model, first seen date of the vehicle. So all the vehicle information on the VDP can be passed through the event. So now instead of looking at, hey, give me a list of all my lead form conversions for the last 6 months, now you can break that out between new versus certified versus used, cars under 30 days old, cars over 90 days old. Your ability to slice and dice the data is much more enhanced thanks to those ASC standards. And then in addition, if you switch chat providers, for instance, or switch digital retail providers, the dealers don't have any tracking work to have to cover and to repeat. So because all the vendors name everything with the same standards, the workflow is just so much easier. So we love it.
But name them correctly, because misnaming them cause some problems. Right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, you have to follow the standard. And then again, Dealer eProcess was the first company to roll those out in January of 2023. Like the next company followed 6 months later, and so you guys got a great head start.
We do, and all of our people on our team are all GA4 certified too.
Oh,
I think it's very, very important. How hard is it to get GA4 certified? Would you say?
I'd say it's quite a bit. I mean, I think there's probably 20 some modules, and there's tests all through it. I don't have my GA4 certification. Technically, maybe I could test out of it, but it's you want to find a partner that is not going to scratch their head when you start asking support questions around GA4.
Right. Okay. So you spoke at NADA yesterday, and I loved the title that you picked. So tell everyone about the title and how it went and what you talked about.
Yeah, it was basically, what have we learned so far from the GA4 implementation? And we talked about.
Did we learn a lot?
Yes, learned a ton. Yeah.
We learned how hard it is when you take away the analytics and give you a new.
Yeah, right. Yep. So we talked about, making sure you have the right events that are firing, the right conversions. And that's a lot of what we covered yesterday. One of the most common things we find is we'll open up a new customer and see their analytics, and almost everything's marked as a conversion, right? VDPs are marked as conversions, page views. And if everything's a conversion, then nothing's a conversion. So it makes your data less meaningful if you don't really be surgical about how you're marking conversions in your setup.
Okay, let's get to the nitty gritty. There's always a nitty gritty, George. All right. So this is a new year, 2024.
Yes.
What do dealers really, really need to be concentrating on to have a great 2024? It's not the same as 2023.
Not the same, yeah.
Definitely a lot is changing, and it's changing quickly. So here we are pivoting. So whether it is with GA4 or something else, what do you think dealers need to be focusing on to have a great year?
I think it's focusing on making sure that you have good lean campaigns that are running for your digital marketing. And at the same time, you're also experimenting with some of the new tools like the VLA, the vehicle listing ads, sometimes called VAs, sometimes called VLAs. They're part of Performance Max. If you can get your cost per click at the right number, then your cost per conversion will be very attractive. And in many cases, less expensive than third-party classified leads. So that's a big one. We see a lot of progressive dealers, doubling down, tripling down on the VLA ads. I think it's also just choosing the right partners, just making sure that you're that you've got a partner that can help you really have full transparency over all your campaigns that are running, which ones are winning, which ones are not. If your agency is telling you that, hey, high five, everything's killing it, it's probably not the case, right? I mean, there's always going to be campaigns that need to be tweaked and improved. But get a partner you can trust that is transparent, shows you the winners, shows you the few losers. Turn off the losers, double down on the winners. That's the idea.
I mean, are you of the mindset that, like, for instance, when you have a Performance Max campaign, how often do you check in on the progress of the campaign and make adjustments to it?
Yeah, I mean, at least monthly. Maybe
Okay.
if you're spending a lot, maybe every couple of weeks. You want to focus on what's my cost per click, what's my cost per conversion, what's my landing page. Making sure they're landing on the right pages. With Performance Max, Google has removed a lot of transparency from digital marketing, but there's still ways to be able to get around that. Landing page, being able to put in maybe negative URLs. Now they've recently added themes, so Performance Max themes where you can really make sure you dial that in better.
Okay, and Google Analytics 4 is not done yet. They keep making updates to it.
Yes.
So I'm curious to see what the new updates are going to be in the next few months, but I know that I can always rely on George Nenni to get me that information and bring it all to you. All right. So when you're ready to see the brilliance of George Nenni, go to dealereprocess.com/webinars. Register for his upcoming webinar. Check out his past webinars. You will not be disappointed. It is a plethora of information and probably one of the most robust Q&A sessions I've ever had with any presenter. So you don't want to miss it. Anything else we need to tell the people out there so that they can be prepared for 2024 and what's to come?
No, I think just getting back to basics, getting back to following up on leads, getting back to working that sales funnel. It's not like the last 2 or 3 years where people just show up with a check, right? So we have to work all those. I just think dealers are getting back to those basics and really looking at the numbers in a much harder way.
And there you have it, George Nenni from Generations Digital. Now you have generationsdigital.com.
Yes.
Yes, and then they can also find you, of course, on LinkedIn.
Yes, you can just search for my name. So just go to Google and type in George Nenni, and you'll get links to the books. You'll get links to our website. You'll probably get links to webinars that I've done with Dealer eProcess. And
the books are available on Amazon.com, by the way. So, George, thank you so much for being here. You always bring the fire, and I can't wait to webinar with you again, sir. Okay, so that's all we have for right now with George Nenni. Next up, we have Bob Lanham. Yes, that Bob Lanham from Car Now. He's going to be joining us in just a few minutes. For right now, we're going to say toodles. Pretty sure I can say toodles. I'm from New Jersey, but I can say toodles. From the Dealer eProcess booth 4301W. And we'll see you soon. Now, time to wait.